Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Insane James here. How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing well. Anywho, it's time to finally address Nintendo E3 2018. Fun story. I'm actually using a new camera, and I did not have the settings set up for it, which is why the Sony E3 video doesn't look good. I actually recorded the Nintendo video right after that video, but I changed the lighting a bit, and because I couldn't see a preview, didn't realize until after the video that the video did not have the best lighting and looked like ass. So I'm re-recording it today after a bit of procrastination and watching Treehouse stream, which I will not incorporate into the final score because I want to be fair. We're talking about conferences here, so let's talk about the fucking conference. Nintendo's conference, I guess the best way to describe it is it was underwhelming. It doesn't mean it was bad. I don't think it was terrible. I just think it was underwhelming, and particularly because there was a lot of shit they could have done. There was a lot of stuff they could have talked about or mentioned that would have got people hyped, which is funny because I'm now reading an interview from Reggie talking about how he doesn't want to continually tease people with games, going into the realization that when you look at their direct is more, the issue with the direct is more so from the perspective of, we know about other games, we know other games exist, and because we know other games exist, this isn't as exciting. Although some people who weren't expecting as much were pretty happy and satisfied with the direct. And to be fair, the direct by itself, if you look at what we got, new IP announcement, with the Daemon Machina, or Mechana, I'm not totally sure how you pronounce it. That Fire Emblem trailer, which is what we did want. First time we're seeing that game. The Pokemon Let's Go information, not super happy that they spent time on it, but it was short, fine. Fortnite announcement. Super Mario Party, even got a release date for that. We know Smash Brothers is coming out in December now, along with the huge info dump for Smash Brothers. Dragon Ball FighterZ was confirmed for Switch. We still don't know the release date, but it was confirmed. We got a good chunk of information. And it wasn't like, and so that's why I don't understand why people are sitting there going, oh, Nintendo was the worst of the three, and said the presentation was weak. I don't agree that the presentation was weak in terms of how it was presented. I could argue it was weak in terms of announcements because realistically, we have what? Our June game is Mario Tennis, which comes out, I believe, next week. Our July game is Octopath Traveler, but we have literally nothing for August, September. And then October, November, December, we're pretty good with Mario Party, Smash Brothers, and where am I brain? Oh, Pokemon. I'm fucking stupid. The reason why I would personally say Nintendo's is by default better than Sony's is that although Sony showed us some cool shit, okay, cool. Ghost of Tsushima, that's the game people were looking forward to seeing. Last of Us, we were looking forward to seeing it. And what was the other one? Spider-Man, we already knew information about, but people don't mind seeing Spider-Man footage. And then Ghost of Tsushima, Last of Us. What am I missing? I'm missing, Death Stranding, which we saw more of, I guess, so that counts. Is that other than Spider-Man, which you knew the release date before anyway, even if you were excited for all four of those games, you're only playing one of them this year, and you still don't know when you're playing the other three games. Unlike Nintendo's, that although has some 2019 titles in there, you're playing Smash this year. You're playing Super Mario Party this year. You're playing Dragon Ball FighterZ this year. You're playing Pokemon this year. You're playing Octopath Traveler this year. Tennis this year. You're playing a lot of these games, not all of them, but a lot of these games this year. And if you've been watching the Treehouse, even more stuff is coming out in terms of we're getting it this year. But as far as the Direct was concerned, it at least gave me games I'll be playing either in a month, a week, a few months, or maybe at the longest 6 months from now, with obviously our Fire Emblem and the Daemon Machina game a little bit later. And that's the major point of contention. People always throw in these weird categories of how they judge E3. And the way I looked at E3 as a whole is, A, was it a good showing? B, do I have release dates for games I knew about but didn't have a release date for? And C, have I seen some new surprises and shit? Sony was pretty straightforward. The only really new surprise we didn't know anything about was Nioh 2. Because even Resident Evil 2 Remake had already been talked about. That wasn't the first time we had heard any conversation about fucking Resident Evil 2. And Kingdom Hearts 3 at this point we had seen multiple fucking times. So, if I had to be fair, I would put Nintendo over Sony. I think Sony had the weakest of the three. Because, A, this is the third time you're hearing about some of these games. People in the comments were talking about, oh, well, Sony's, we've only heard about it in 2017. No. We heard about it 3 times. We've seen this is the third time we've seen these games. They showed up in 2016, 2017, 2018, and spoiler alert, we don't even, and we gotta see them again. Because then they're coming out next year. So more than likely we'll see them at least one more time, or potentially one more time. That's 3 times. For Last of Us, it was in 2016, and so was fucking, not Ghost of Tsushima. Ghost of Tsushima was last year. Death Stranding. They were both 2016 games. We both saw at the beginning, and some people were like, oh, that's only 2 years. No, you have to count 2016, you have to count 2017, and then you also have to count 2018. Because they're not coming out this year, because we have no release date. We don't even have release years for those. So by default, even if you're excited for all of those games, other than Spider-Man, which like I said, you already had the release date for, Spider-Man's the only one that's coming out. The other ones we don't know when it's coming out. So Nintendo's over Sony. That's default. The issue now becomes Microsoft. Because I think Nintendo's, out of the 3 of them, was the best pace. I don't give a damn. I don't understand this false understanding. Now, I disagree with the idea that Microsoft had a well-paced conference. Conference still too fucking long. There was a bunch of fucking lulls. They still did that same dumb shit where they kept doing that launch exclusive, console exclusive. They just kind of petered it out or mixed in a bunch of world premieres. And people are giving them points on world premieres. How? How is that a point? Especially when their conference goes first. To me, that's a dick move compared to the other 2 conferences. That means I got a money hat to get rights to win in your book. So if I don't have the rights to Battlefield, Call of Duty, Destiny, Anthem, all these other fucking games, I automatically lose because they get the first showing of these games. That's bullshit. It's not. I don't count you showing new games, especially if they're not exclusives. But, and like I said, the one thing you gotta give Microsoft, they did show a lot of quantity. Now, granted, a lot of those are multi-plats. You got Halo, the 3 Gears games, Battletoads, what was the other one? Forza Horizon, and then some other smaller titles, like the updates for Cuphead and the updates for Sea of Thieves, and a few other things. I think Microsoft kind of bullshotted some of their fucking claims at the beginning, talking about, oh, look at these acquisitions we made. That's a lull. That's not a good thing. You know why? Because if you're just not talking about it and you have nothing to show for any of those companies that you just acquired, that tells me we will not see shit from that. Now, some people argue that that would build confidence. But think about it. If those games, if you just acquired those studios and you have nothing to even tease or show from any of them, that tells me at the very earliest we'll ever see something from them is next year. Needless to say, I'm not excited about a console I would have quote-unquote owned it since 2013 at the earliest. So that's, what, 5 going into 6 years, just now finding out, oh, here's these, video games, exclusives that are different you're looking for. We finally got them, guys. We finally got them. But you won't even see them until next year, so at the earliest. At the earliest, mind you. And oh, by the way, we're all working on another console. Well, then what makes you think you're going to see those games on Xbox? Like, the way I like to look at Xbox's conferences, that's probably one of Xbox's best conferences for Xbox. So to be fair, for it being one of the better Xbox conferences for Xbox, it automatically wins because Nintendo and Sony have hit higher heights than them, and neither of them even came close to those 2 heights that they've hit before. So I would still say Microsoft overall wins, quote unquote, of the big three. Because EA was trash, Square was unnecessary, Ubisoft was somewhere in the middle. I know a lot of people called their conference garbage. Like, oh, you started off with Just Dance, and they do drag a little bit. I think people overhyped the shit out of Bethesda too, but I gave Bethesda props because they did announce games people wanted. And it's harder to judge third parties because third parties only need to talk about games. I think Bethesda spent too much time talking about updates for games, like I complained about every conference. Nintendo did that shit. They all want to talk about updates for games, and although those are cool, those to me aren't E3 worthy because the games are already out. Those should have been like in a highlight reel. But fuck it. In terms of the big three, I think the order is Microsoft, Sony. I mean, Microsoft, Nintendo, Sony. And the only reason why I'm putting Microsoft over Nintendo is because Microsoft, this is one of Microsoft's best conferences for Microsoft, whereas Nintendo had a bunch of potential they could have been showing off, and we didn't get it. Granted, I understand the reason, but that doesn't change the reality of the situation is that you told us about Metroid, you told us about Yoshi, you told us about Fire Emblem, we've known about, I guess those three are the ones that are going to count, because Retro's game we know about, but that's not officially Nintendo were announcing it, so I'm not going to count Retro's game in that batch. Pikmin 4 is a weird situation because it's a little bit of both. And fuck me, I'm looking at literally the treehouse is going, and they're showing that Damon Machina game that I want to see this, and I'm sitting here recording the video. So I'm going to end this now because I want to see this, and I want to watch it. So that's my E3 thoughts on Nintendo and my overall E3 thoughts. Life's a game, play to win. Damien Machina is on the fucking screen, and I want to watch this, so peace out. God damn it.